guys, how you doing? Let's do it to it. There we go. Oops, I have to put this in it. There we go. Alrighty. Let's work on a little bit of tactics here. Okay. What we're trying to do, we're doing chess based on, and it's unrated, so there's no rating loss. We can talk it over if you guys want to talk. It's right in the chat. Okay, the knight went from c7 to, and it took the knight on, it took a piece or a pawn on d5. So it's white to move. What move should we play here, and what's our best move? Okay, we have knight. One idea that I looked at for white, because it's white to move, I'm looking at knight takes e4. Knight takes e4 is an idea. So what do you guys think? Do you guys have any ideas on this? Because if we play knight takes e4, he can actually trap our bishop with g5. So let's just play this out. Knight takes sorry, not e4, g6, and let's see, what do we play here? This is the idea. So what we would do is we would play this knight here, takes this rook, then he would play pawn to g6 here. What allow me to do? Let me see if I. Let's give her a shot. So, oops. So now what we want to do, because he takes there, we want to play queen takes c3. What it does is it allows our bishop to be free. So our bishop can our bishop can move. See, if we take with the queen, it allows our bishop to move. Oh, I see why. If we do queen, guys, if we so we take here. If we did queen takes over here, he could actually play check and win our queen with a discovery with the bishop. So the only way to equalize is that. Okay. Okay, so I played queen from a5 to f5. If we play rook takes pawn, so if we play rook takes e6, if queen takes c2, then we play rook takes e8 equals mate. Do you guys see that? We first take this pawn here, and then if he plays queen takes c2, so we take here, queen c2, we actually take because the knight controls these two squares. The rook that would take here is checkmate. So let's give it a go. If you guys have any ideas, more than happy, put them in, okay? Put in your ideas, okay? Let's see here. So we moved from king g2 to f1. So what did that move? Sometimes you have to look and find out if that move gives up something. In Aikido, there's sometimes in tactics you can solve something by a piece moving. Sometimes it's a waste of time. Sometimes it's on the square that you want it to be at. That's an interesting idea as well. Okay, dokie. And so you have to keep that in your back pocket. If it's what did king to f1 give up? Well, it gave up this pawn. Well, but the knight guards it. So in theory, king from g2 to f1 gave up also a protectorate of the knight. Also gave up the protection of h3. It also is a waste of time if you want to think about it. So it could be just a plain time waster instead of your opponent developing something. He moved his king, and especially in a middle game, you don't want to do that. So you have to always be on guard that you're not wasting time in a setup. Kind of like this. Black has more development than white at this moment. He has two rooks, one rook on d8 and one rook on c8. So, and his bishops are in pretty good shape. So now we have to look at what could we do. First, you look at checks. Our knight potentially could go to e3, but if it goes to e3, the pawn would take the knight. So we have to look and see, do we have any counter moves after that? If it takes the knight, do we have rook takes, rook takes, rook takes? No, we're down material. So that doesn't work for us. And now that we've looked at that, now we got to look at checks. Now, not checks, sorry. Captures are, as Grandmaster Simon Williams would say, abilities for you to open up the position. Like, do we have any breaks? Do we have, like, can we somehow get our pawn to b4 and open up the a file? Do we want to open up the a file? Do we? We have to look at that. We also have knight takes c4 or c3, sorry. And does that give us anything? Knight takes c3, rook takes d8, and then rook takes d8, queen takes c3. Did we accomplish anything after that? And yes, we did. See, this is what happens when bishop takes c3. If rook takes d8, check. Rook takes d8. Queen takes c3. And then we have bishop f6, which is a fork or a skewer. I think it's a skewer. we have bishop f6, and it's a skewer. So first of all, not bishop takes, my bad, sorry about that, guys. I need to put in there knight takes, n, not bishop. Knight takes. So knight takes, rook takes, check, rook takes, queen takes, and then bishop to f6. The queen's here, the rook's here, so we skewer the queen to the rook. Let's give that a try. Oh, so he did it right away. But if we wanted to, he could have played rook takes first, rook takes, and had the same thing, but he would have been down more material. Our opponent would have been. So we have to take a look at that. So we got that right. It was a clear waste of time. Our opponent should have moved his bishop, but didn't do that. We took advantage of it, and we ended up a exchange up. Yeah, hurrah on that. That's great. That's something you want to have. So you got to think positive on that. Okay. Now we've looked at bishop to e2 or e4. So bishop c2 to e4. What did that open up for our rook? It opened up rook takes a2. See, now the rook was blocked by the bishop. Now this pawn's open, and if we take it, we have a mate. So if this rook takes, and let's say let's say the Lord gives us another move, but it'd be his turn, of course. We would play a1 checkmate if his bishop moved or did something. But his bishop is also, now that we need to look at this, attacking our rook. So do we have anything that potentially we can we trade off anything? Yeah, we could move our rook to h2. Rook takes h2, rook takes h2. Then what does he have? He really doesn't have anything after that. But we could potentially play bishop b2. So bishop b2, bishop from here to here is check. Bishop b2 check. If king goes to b1, what do we have? King goes to b1. Or we could, rather than that, play bishop f4. That's also an interesting move. And then if he plays here, we could check. Yeah, I like bishop f4. So now we have to look at, we have now a check with our rook. So rook d2 check. If the king moves back, we can actually bring our rook over here, grab the pawn with check. So if we play here, he comes there, we can actually grab the pawn with check, and if he moves over here, we can then just check. We want a pawn. And and then he has to actually move his bishop. That's really the only move I see that could save our rook. So then we can check here, and do we pick up anything after that? Let's see, if we play bishop checks, the king would have to move to f1. Then we have g2 to f2. If he moves back, we then can move over with check and pick up the rook. But then we can actually bring this rook over check and pick that up. Yeah. We don't really want to do this because, well, maybe we can. What do you guys think? Should we play rook g2 to f2, or should we play rook d2 to f2? I'm thinking g2 to f2, but that's just me. Yeah. Good work, guys. We're kicking it up a notch. I know I'm changing to a different... I can't really draw arrows, so the best thing I'm going to try to do is talk you guys through it. It's good, and then I need you guys to visualize it. I appreciate your patience, because I got to tell you, some of the LHS puzzles are so complicated that it's hard, even if I draw arrows for you guys to follow, and I wanted to kind of make it so that we can actually do puzzles that may be played in the games of, you know, players. Like when you play, those type of moves will be there. You're not going to be doing 2500 level moves at the beginning. You know what I mean? You gotta do these tactics, taking, and then a skewer. Or you have to check, and then you get your knight out of there, or your rook out of there like we did last time. So let's see here. See, if we play rook d4, this rook goes to d4, pawn push, 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 check. We check first. So more likely he's going to go rook d4. If he goes king to king d3, pawn push. If king takes d4, we queen with check. So I'm going to go rook, and then now let's push. And then if he takes here, if he takes king takes d4, we queen with check. If we play knight takes e6, is actually double check. And if king comes up to e7, we can actually play bishop to g6, g5, check, f6, and then what we can actually do is potentially take. But do we get enough from that? want more. We could play knight here. The only problem is he can come up at that point. We don't have a check at that point. Yeah, I'm gonna go with knight takes bishop. And I like this move here because if rook takes, we always have knight there, check, and we can pick up the queen. But we still have a check here, even if we do that. He could play there. And we play there. Which check do we play? Which check? Which check? I'm liking this check now that I think about it, because a pawn push, then we have a discovered check and we can pick up the queen. Let's try that again. Okay, let's try just a practice game on Allied Chess now. Alright, 1800, casual. So we're going to try to get Harry going. I'm going to try to get the D pawn, rook over to DG1 and then get G4 going. See if we can't do that here and then there. Let's see how we do. Let's see if I can't get Harry. Kaboom. Try one more opponent and then we'll get on to our lesson. We'll try him one more time to see if he wants to play. If we have to. Now we're eyeballing this pawn. Let's see if we can actually attack. Trying to see what we can actually play here, because we have to play this right. We have to constantly be attacking. Our king's in the center, he's castled. So there's no messing around. Bishop takes. Bishop takes bishop. And then now we castle. And now I'm going to see if I can't get my knight rerouted into here to a4. I could also potentially play bishop there and there, so let me see. He left. Snap. He didn't play. I'll just type in GG. GG. But do you see how what we were doing is we were using the weaknesses of the move, and so this F4 move allotted a weak pocket on E4. So what we would do is reroute our knight into E4, and then we'd have an outpost. And so rather than he's gone, he left the game. So that was kind of the idea, and our whole basis of our idea was we're gonna have to look to see if there was anything better that we could have done. But after this one, we'll get started into our studies. We just got to wait till our opponent, the machine allows us to declare victory. So we have to keep that in mind. Sometimes your opponents do that, but you know what? Remember, you shouldn't get upset because some people can't do a loss. So if it would make them feel bad about themselves and stuff, that's not what chess is about. It's not about, yes, how that I crushed my opponent. No. It's about, did you strategically win? And yes, we did. And I really hope that he takes the game that we played back and then learns from it, so that when he plays somebody else, maybe over the board or online, in a rated 10-minute game, that our opponent will know how to handle this situation and not go F4. Realize that every move has drawback, and the drawback is E4. Yeah, it is fairly equal, but the whole sitch is, and he might actually come back, so. Yeah, that is true. But, okay. But yeah, let's go over. I believe that I have a slight advantage here. Let's see. Let us see. Wow, he actually has an advantage. Well, what happened was, yeah. Yeah, so if, so when he played that there and we played up here, he played here, you can actually set up there, and if he plays there, I'm not sure, can we actually play bishop here? Knight takes, pawn takes, check. Hang up, and then pawn takes. Yeah, that is a crusher. Hey, how you doing? There's this move I forgot about that you can actually play here if he takes. I think it's losing. Yeah, the computer thought about it for a second or two. So F5 is what it likes. So it actually is a game. There's a game that this goes to. Oh, good. Oh, not a problem. Let's just go for it. Surprisingly, this is actually a game between a 2400 and a 2200. 1980. So white won here. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. F5. Okay, put him in and we'll go over him. This was a game that I won because my opponent, yeah. Oh, the perk? Yeah, the perk was is a very interesting opening for sure. Oops, gotta turn that off. Close the book. One sec. Let me get a drink, guys, and I'll have some of my tea. Just sip of tea and we'll get busy. Oh, F3 and G4. Yeah, that's kind of how the perk's set up. You have to remember that it's based on, the perk's mainly based on central control. And some perks actually have F4. They have this pawn wall like this. And then black at the right moment tries to hit back with E5. So E3, castles. Playing about the same. A6. And now, this is what we talked about. Andrew Martin. It's Ginger GM talked about this, that what you want to do is you want to trade off this bishop, play knight to G5, and then harry the H pawn. Comes up the board, and you start a huge attack. It's all based on getting rid of this bishop. So bishop G4, castle queen side. Wow, this is gonna be a firework game. I'm loving it already. I know there's gonna be fireworks, and they're all gonna be beautiful. Knight F6, bishop takes. Yes. Now starts the Royal Rumble. King takes, Queen E3. Okay. That guards the knight. And what white's going to try to do basically is shuffle all of their pieces over and try to get a Harry up the board to crush the king and take all of his defending soldiers. Takes, and then G takes. Yeah, this actually helps in theory. This helps white. Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right. You guys got it. We push Harry. That's what humans play. Yeah. Harry, Harry, he's our hero. He's gonna open the king up and we're gonna get a checkmate. Yes. And we take back. Now we got Harry coming up the board. We can play. This is what he showed. Bishop to E. Pawn push. Potentially after here. Takes. Rook takes. You have to put your bishop there. Then you start a mega attack. Yeah, you gotta love our Harry. I gotta say, he's the most decorated pawn soldier that I know of. In chess, he's got so many purple hearts and everything. He's given up a lot for the team. He takes it all. So, well, the queen move makes sense because now you're gonna want to play bishop e3, e2, and then you're gonna want to play at a certain point f4 and h4. Back here, if we just played h, he moves up, and then what he takes, and then we play, let's say he plays something like this. We play here, and we want to, let me see, let's just say he plays a move like this. Now if we wanted to play there, I guess he could still take, but now he's got the breaking move there. I agree with you. You have to always look at these moves. This is so that also potentially maybe the queen could, the knight can go to e4, because the queen, rather than the knight guarding e4, sorry, that'd be f4. Rather than the knight guarding f4, the queen does now. So this would free up the knight to get the knight in the game. And this would be nice. This would be like in war, setting up a camp and saying that we're here, this is our camp. We're here and we're not leaving. And the knights are like, yes, let's charge, charge. And so the knights are really happy about a fortress being built. And yeah, in the medieval times, they would actually, when they conquered a land, they'd build a castle. And that's how they would, or a city, or a big district. And they'd build a castle there, and they would barracks all the troops in a camp there. Or they'd call it a camp. They'd set up a camp, and that's how they would occupy a city, or a country, or whatever, a smaller city country. And one person who actually did that was I forgot who it was. It was an English general, English king, and he took over Welsh, and he built a castle. He wanted to take over the Scotch up north. This was England, but he kind of ran out of money to build a castle up there. He eventually, they wouldn't play fair. They would go in, burn a place, and then get out. So they kind of did guerrilla warfare, and so they wouldn't play fair. So he's like, eh. And what ended up happening basically was one of the kings of that area died from old age, and before it would go to another family, he was the closest in line to that, so he held it till they could find a closer line ruler. It's actually from a old time game, war game. The funny thing was, the majority of the war games used to have manuals about the history of the war game, which is really, I find very interesting. That war games actually had a history, certain games that people play. Before it got more, multiplayer, when both sides can move, it was turn-based, and there was a history behind it. Like bishop to h3. And I kind of like those wargaming. That's what I think of chess, is each position has a history, has a game behind it. So It has a story all to itself in chess. The perk has a story, and certain games that are played, each player's mind has a story that if we could tap into both of those minds, they would tell a story. So knight to a5. And that's truly, the Lord was a storyteller too, so he had a story for every occasion. When he dealt with a farmer, he had a story about farming. When he dealt with a jewel crafter, he had a jewel crafter story. And like for every person's field, same. Like he's the king in chess. He's the king. So HG1. So we're putting pressure on. Now we potentially have a bishop that could come in if knight takes, pawn takes, but then the queen could take h. So like if we played here, knight would take. If we took back, then the queen could slide in, pick up a pawn, and even if we took, let's say we took here, the queen would just take, and the king's pretty much safe. But we'd have to be careful of the queen would still have to be careful of rook to h1. So it's not even when the queen slides in and we have that, it's not over till it's over. Yeah, the king's getting off of that because he doesn't want this sneaky move here. This move is a good move because it fulfills an idea of restrict your opponent and stop their ideas. And of course we know what black's next move would be knight to c4 to attack the queen, and so that the queen can stay there and guard. b3 would be an excellent move, and that's why the computer played b3, pawn b3. Rook g8 now. Black's trying to cover up all their weaknesses, all their soft spots. There we go. Now starts the mega onslaught with potentially knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and maybe we can even slip a queen in. You never know with that setup. So queen e7. This stops this type of a sacrifice. The queen noticed what white's potential threat would be. Knight to e6, f takes e6, and then bishop takes. The rook would have to move. Therefore, the queen can come in and potentially there's a threat. So e5, and white's not unhappy. Either is black. White accomplished the idea of trading off the powerful knight. So black has a very weak knight on the side of the board. Also, a potential idea is rook to g5, and to guard this, so if the pawn ever took, the rook could take back, and then you have a battery on an attack. You can bring your other rook over, and then potentially, even if he pushes here, you can check. So wham, g5, there you go, there's g5. Knight c6. It's trying to stop takes, and then rook takes. So queen c3 is a really, in my opinion, very human-like strong move, because now if takes, we grab the knight. So the knight's under threat. It has to run. And what's the most active square for the knight? Of course, d8. But remember, each move has a drawback. The d8 move divides up these rooks. But at this moment, we don't have the ability as white to take advantage of it, so it's not a problem. And black says, but my true idea is I want to play knight to e6. And then I want to start centralizing my knight. And if I can neutralize white's threat, I then have pawns. I could shift my rooks over and then start my onslaught. Hold on, I'm just going to get a drink of water. Just 1 second. Good water. Especially when your throat gets dry. Okay, rook G, there we go. Now he's starting to hone down on a weakness, which this is going to start becoming a thorn in the king's side's problem. Because if the pawn gets to f5 takes, right, you can actually take over here and that would be checkmate. So white's saying, you have a weakness, my friend. I could even now play bishop here if I wanted to, and start a pretty good assault. So, and if you took, I still got mate. So bishop here is a mega threat. You can even take. This would pin the pawn, and you can take. And then the king would have to move and go into a pin. That's sweet. Sweet idea. Very, very good idea by the computer. Rook DG1. Stellar idea. Now the knight's coming in. It's like, and so what we have to do now to hold our advantage, we have to get rid of the knight. We got to. We want to be the one fighting. So when f takes, queen d3 is an idea with a pin on the pawn, and we can pick up a pawn. King h8. It still doesn't matter. We're going in for the kill. Bam. I don't know. I'm kind of liking potentially that. I actually like that move. But I think the reason is there's no more pin. So we can't do that. Wouldn't that be lovely if let's say he just played his rook over here. This would be so sweet. Kaboom. But that didn't happen. The Stockfish got wise and smelt sensed and calculated that could arise, and so h8 was played, and we just took. So why not just grab a pawn? Remember, if we can grab a pawn and be safe to do it, hurrah. And if the rook takes, queen would take, and then potentially we have a mate and we're picking off this. So if the rook took here, the queen would take. The queen would have to come over to guard, and then we would slide our queen over, grab another pawn. Just keep gobbling up pawns. We'd be like Pac-Man. Munch, 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 munch. So pawn takes, c takes, and then f4 now. Oh yeah, true. I see what you're saying. If takes here, queen takes. Yeah, that's right. Kaboom! Good find there, human center pawn. Yep. See, yeah, that is a that sets up for a mate. Good work. Good job. G takes. Rook takes. Pawn. Queen takes. Takes. pick up a pawn. We takes. I think that what the computer was afraid of was this setup here. And then 1 versus 2. I don't know, I think I'd play there. And then he might try here, so... And you have that. And I think we're still winning in this position. It's going to be a little bit harder to get this going because the rook blocks this. So maybe that's what the computer sensed. Take the pawn. And now we've got an outside passer. Now it's trying to get the pawn pushing. And the king resigned. Because what's next going to be played, of course, you guys see. King takes d when the rook slides over. We potentially could, in theory, play here. He takes. Actually, the king would come. We'd push. He'd take. We'd come over. If he tried here, we can actually come there. He might try checking. We'd come up. And then if he comes back, we actually, in theory, could play something similar to that. And then if we check there, we lose our rook, so we can't really do that. So we might just push our pawn. Takes, push. Here takes, and then queen. So I think that's what the computer saw rather than that. So let's take a lookie. Oh, a6 in the perk? Oh, so it's black's move. Hold on, my friends. It is for sure. Oops. Yeah, guys, we have to really be praying for our Olympia team. Tomorrow is the day they're facing China. And if our team can pull a positive, our men's team, we will get a gold for the United States. That'll be great. So it's going to be a pretty intense battle, guys. I'm thinking that they're probably going to put Fabi, yeah. I always ask when does it start? Because I keep checking, and it really, I check on Chess24, and usually it says you know, how much time it has, like 6 hours, 5 hours, 2 hours. It doesn't really tell when it's gonna be on, so I never get to really catch it. I get to see it afterwards, but what's the fun of that? Oh, it is? So are they on Twitch? Oh, sweet. So it's on Twitch, right? am I? Okay. So I'll have to. So do they cover the whole entire thing the whole time? But they cover it the whole time. Wow. Okay. Thanks for the advice. I did not know that. Oh, this is the Big Daddy engine, Stockfish 9. You gotta love that. I was trying to find it all over the place. I didn't know that a site actually covered it. That's nice, especially when it's Yaz or yeah, especially when Yaz is. I like how those Yaz and Jennifer and Maurice Ashley. They are a stellar team. I think Chess Bra team is, or however you pronounce it, is a good team too. So they have a good team as well. Okay, so oh yeah, yeah. I started in the as I always call it, the rainy city of Seattle. That's what he called it. He says he did a recording. I'm not exactly sure. He was a lot younger, let's just say, and he did a CD recording on how to study perfectly or something like that. And he talked about his story of growing up in Seattle and how he kind of fell in love with chess during the rainy times. He would train with his buds at the Seattle Chess Club. And so he talked about also he talked about that in St. Louis. There's one that he talked about is how he improved, and at first he lost a lot, he says. Then he found the King's Indian, and he got better and better and better at it. So it tells you with practice, my friends, that we can you can become whatever you want. It's and people would say, "Could I, excuse me, could I be a rock star?" One second, I got a cough. I had somebody say that one time on here. Yeah, you know what? You can be whatever you want with enough practice, but I would prefer you studying chess or like law or something like that. That would benefit. I know music's great and everything. I can't say music has helped society as well, but help chess. Go. You know what? If you're on chess, go for it. Go all in. Okay, A4. Nice. Okay, man, this is going to be a spicy game. Wow. I either call it like a firework or spicy. You gotta love that. These are the games that are cool. Well, chess can never you can never go wrong with chess. It helps with every aspect of your life because Gary Kasparov wrote a book how life imitates chess. Really good book. And I think that he's exactly right because every situation you have to make a choice. You can't spend a second twice. You have to choose where you're going to spend that second. So D5. Yeah, it all goes back. Who do you serve this day? Where are you going to spend your time? And I'm glad to spend it with you guys on here. And I thank you Fox for the games and the two chess engines, because it's very informative on how to properly do it, because they actually take games and they take nodes and they will pick games and find out what the optimum move is. So when we're looking at this, we have to, for ourselves, think, what's the idea? What is white playing? Why did white play d4, d5? So white played d5 to get a very similar setup. It's not a French, so, but it looks almost similar to an advanced French to me, but it's a lot different because it's not e6 d5. But white wants to basically dominate space on the queen side. So what would we think that white's plans would be based on? Either stopping, it'd be getting their plans going, which would be stopping black's ideas, kingside taken out. Would mainly black would try to play knight to e8 and knight e8 and f5, because black wants to get a kingside attack going, and white's going to try with all their circuitry, our computer chips, that's supposed to be funny, to stop that. And so and then their idea would be to try to get c4, b4, and try to expand on the queen side and create a pass pawn on the queen side. Usually Jeremy Silverknight, his endgame book and Reassess Your Chess, a lot of his books that he has out there, talked about, you can almost do where the finger pointing is. You can find out if where the pawns are pointing is where your position or the opponent's position strongest. So we noticed that black's pawns are all pointing towards the king side. So in theory, what you'd want to do if you're black, you could actually have a temporary idea. Like Grandmaster Seven Williams says, having an idea, even though it might be bad, is better than having no idea at all. So black would want to have an idea based on kingside expansion. So black, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, bye-bye. You know what? Great. That you know what? Chess, man. Yes. But and so what would happen is black's plan would be based on the king side, white's plan would be based on the queen side. Black would try to prevent white's expansion on the queen side, or black would try to hammer home a pretty intensive attack. You can't do it right at this moment. He has to build up. So, but that's basically the bigger planned ideas. So that's what black's going to want to try. So see how he's shifting all of his pieces over to the king side? And look at white shifting all their pieces to the queen side. b6. And now black's trying to stop white's plan of expansion on the queen side with a potential a5 next move. b4. Bishop. Now this prevents a pretty massive attack, because if he takes, he's locked down white's counterplay, and then black's free to do all of its play on the king side. So rook e1, and white's kind of pretty cramped. There we go. And here comes the attack. Rook to f1. Hold on, I need to get a drink. Yeah, basically I agree with you. b6. That white, if white tries to go b5, black's going to go a5. If white tries to go a5, black's going to go b5. So he's going to try to lock down the the queen side, so like what we talked about, the engine can expand on the king side. And look, the engine's going right for it. And see that? There we go. It's starting to happen right now as we are watching. The expansion is happening. Now watch how both sides optimally play. They're not gonna force, like a lot of players would try to force G5. The computer knows, build up. Don't force it, because if you're gonna force it, you're gonna lose. That's one thing that you have to remember, is forcing it ends up with losses. They know exactly what to do. So G3, this move is very vital to White's setup too. What he's going to want to try to do, the engine, is going to either play like H3 or F3 and try to get the bishop pocketed into one of these places and then try to defend. So it's going to be who is the most patient and who has the farthest understanding. So F, here we go. Kaboom! You know, you gotta love this. The engine is going, and if the pawn takes, the rook, or mainly the knight's gonna take back. It might be this knight here that takes back, because we want to keep our rook in the optimum placement at this moment. It depends on, see, if the pawn took, you'd have to decide, do we want to take with the bishop or do we want to take with the knight? More likely knight takes is the best idea, because then you're gonna trap the dark square for white. So H3 would have to be played. And then now you have H4, the bishop would have to retreat back. And now you can have expansion and get your knights routed in. So now the idea is to play G5. This is going to be really fun to watch, the expansion. F3, G5, bam. F4, shut that down. Shut down White's entrenchment. A5, B5. There we go. Black's shutting down all of White's play on the queen side. A2, G3. Okay, now we're going to start seeing some fireworks be played here. Pawn takes. Now he's moving because he doesn't want this to happen. But Black's got to be really careful. A lot of air around the king. So Black has only a pretty good shot to, it's got like one shot to make this work. So you got to be patient. Don't force it. Pawn takes. Now it's ready because we have two attackers and defenders on G. Rook C1. F6. Everything's flowing over. Everything's flowing. We even have enough if we needed to go H6 and just clamp down on the position. So queen to E2. Now we want to exchange off our bishops if possible. We're holding this pawn. We're going to try, White's trying their darndest to get this pawn off the board. Then they have a pass pawn. So Black's like, you got nothing, my friend. You got nothing. I got everything. I have the expansion. What do you got? Nothing. Nothing, honey. So Rook F, and now he's getting ready for sliding the rook over. It's a rover. Rook up and over. So bishop, Rook C6, G3. Wow. This is a very, very scary move. I want to see kind of how how the engine deals with it. Probably takes, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So he can't take. Wow. That's some good tactics right there. Yeah, because we can't take here. Kaboom! There you go, your mate. So. Wow. Now they picked up a whole piece. White's just getting obliterated. Because black had a plan of neutralizing white's threat and attacking on the king side, black implemented their plan and ended up winning. So takes. Grabs another one. There we go. Another pawn's gonna fall. Kaboom. Another pawn falls. And with 3 versus 2 and a rook up, I'm not surprised that the engine resigned. That was a great game. Very good game. Very well played. Well played by black. Well played. I like that. Everything was thoroughly outlined, set up. Black didn't rush and basically pummeled their opponent into submission. That's beautiful. That's beauty on a board. I gotta say, the engine's getting more creative. I like it. That's good. Okay. Let's see, what do we want to do? Okay. I'll go over one more and then probably do maybe 1 or 2 puzzles on chess.com unrated. Yeah, I like crazy. Hey, you know gingers, we love crazy when it comes to chess positions. E6. Hey, don't never call a move that you're learning from dubious. It's something, yeah. That's pretty. Oh, nice. So you're doing the London. Nice work. There's a, if you're wondering, this actually could be played too. Then the bishop usually comes back and you can take, queen takes, and then you can play bishop here, and there's some play. Oh, you're black. Gotcha. Oh, so your opponent played a similar London. Gotcha. So g takes, pawn takes, h6. Yeah. This actually, if you're wondering if they can actually take here, let's say you just play here and they play that. the bishop gets trapped, so you don't have to worry. And the knight can't come here because, whoop, there goes the knight. So don't worry about taking. Don't you worry. They really can't take. And even if they, even if you played here and let's say he played bishop takes, he still really can't do anything because you can trap his bishop. He did win a pawn, but then you can walk your king over. So like if something like this, let's see, he may play here, castles, there you go, and then you're safe. So don't you fear about that. C4, C6. All right, you're doing the Slav defense, and hopefully he does the exchange. This is a close Slav. C5, bishop E7. One sec, gotta get a drink of water. Throat's a little dry. Pretty interesting. Oh yeah, C5 is actually like what you're saying, play the grub. It's a horrible move. That White doesn't understand what they're doing. You don't want to do that. You don't want to shut down that. It does clamp down, but trust me, potentially this would have actually been a better move. This is actually a winning move, by the way. Castles is losing. He would have to play here. Pawn takes. And now you have a pretty big bind. So maybe, oh no, I'm wrong. My bad. Sorry, it's not winning. It's not winning. It looked winning. Man, this would be so sweet if only you can't take because he mated. That's not actually a bad move. White's playing pretty effective for sure. Surprised he didn't follow through, but I kind of get why he didn't. He wants to bring more reinforcements. White knows what they're doing for sure. Well, not really, because what you have to do is remember that there's another day. And whatever you do, don't worry. That's one thing you can't do. Sometimes it's all about worrying. Yeah, what helps me is oh, ouch. I listened to some of the I listened to the Alexander Scobie. And then you just, yeah, you just be patient. Worry is usually a lot about that problem and fear. As long as the Lord's in control, everything's gonna be alright. F3. Yeah, I'm sure the 3 days were pretty scary for the apostles, for sure. Let's see here. Let me see. Queen d5. I'm liking that because that's activating the pieces, potentially going for a check. Oh yeah, true. Very, very true. So, Queen c5. Nice check. In it comes. Man, I'd love to play this here. I'd love to play that if I could. So. Fear took over, yeah. Fear is a pretty powerful thing. Well, it does, if you want to think about it, it does get your bishop on a pretty powerful open file. So if you're ever doing like a bishop checkmate puzzle idea. This is bishop versus two bishops versus a king. This is the optimum setup for the bishops. I'm thinking about playing this move here. Yeah, I'm thinking about taking there. And then if the king comes up here, shutting down the position with the bishop move, which covers these spots here. Or maybe even better, my bad, is this. And he may try that. Then you could actually start coming in. And potentially you have this move. I like white altogether in that line. Wait. I see what you're saying. Yeah, you kind of got a problem. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a pretty interesting setup. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think he resigned. Yeah, it's resignable here. what we did. Do you have any questions on here before I log off, guys? Fast, yeah. Let's see here. Well, I might maybe play one game with this player. Maybe, we'll see. Do casual. Okay, you want to do a tactic? Okay, we'll do one tactic. Not a problem. We'll do one more. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just get rid of the piece. We're doing good here. Okay, good game. Okay, so you want to do one puzzle? Okay, we'll do one, and then I got a log. Whatever happens, happens. Let's do it. Are you still there, Fox? Yeah, good, you are. Okay. We'll do one, alright? One. One is the loneliest number. That's let's see here. Oh, perfect. Okay. Do you have any ideas for this? Oh, by the way, that was a really good game. I gotta say, that was a really good game. You played a good game on your game. So, congrats, man. Come on, baby. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. What do we want to do today? Okay. I'm thinking that potentially check. I'm thinking that it's rook b1. I'm voting on that one. Yep, you got it. That's the move. There we go. Perfect. And we'll leave it on that. Good job, guys. Okay, you wanted to go over your move. Okay. So, what's the move you wanted to go over? What's the line you want to go over before I log? Oh, you want to see why rook... Okay. Okay, gotcha. And then he's safe, and it's a draw. I sent you the puzzle number. So if you wanted to go over it, then you have the puzzle number. Do you have any other lines you want to go over? I'll give you guys a minute to think about it. Okay. And if you don't have anything else, then we will log off. Okay. So I know there might be a slight lag on the site with everybody watching the Olympics for chess. There may be a lag. Do you guys have anything? Anything? And if you guys want to look it up, that's the chess. That's the chess number, puzzle number. If you guys want it. Okay, I will take that as a no. Okay. Well, guys, I wanted to thank you for all logging on. We're kicking it up a notch. We're doing good. I don't believe we lost a game. We didn't miss any puzzles, and we're doing good. Congratulations. See, work's working out. And keep our team in your thoughts and prayers, our women's team and our men's team. So, guys, you know what? Keep pushing forward. We're doing it. Remember, knowing is not enough. We must apply. You got to know and apply. Willing is not enough. You must do. So what you also have to remember too is that we set our own plateaus, and we have to sometimes have the courage to go beyond our fears. And I know you guys can do it. We're like coal under pressure. We become a beautiful diamond, and we sparkle bright in the sun. You know, the hardest thing to do when you're a sword as well, I'm going to add something else to this, is when you get sharpened. You have those sparks on that sharpening wheel thing in the older times. But trust me, when you're done, you cut fine. And that's we're going through our sharpening times. And remember this, we hang up our coat, we hang up our hat, and we sit down and do the things that most won't, which is study. And that makes all the difference. Also remember, we have to be like Hannibal Smith. Learn from our mistakes, and if we do that, we get better and better. Okay, guys, be blessed, okay? And I'll leave you with this. As Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus. And as I say, God bless. And I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening. And Lord willing, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll go over some more games. And we'll start into the French some more. And keep pushing forward and getting better. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Bye-bye, guys. Be blessed.